Section 3.4, Factor Trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. In this section, we will be factoring trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c using the trial and error method. Now, since we'll be factoring quadratic trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, these trinomials will have a leading coefficient greater than 1. Okay, so if you look at this trinomial, 2x squared plus 7x plus 6, notice that we're going to be factoring it into two binomials. We will need to fill in the blanks so that the product of the first two terms in the binomials is 2x squared. That's my f. And the product of the last terms in the binomial is 6, my L. Furthermore, the factors of 2x squared and 6 must be chosen so that the sum of the products of the inner terms and the outer terms equals 7x. So my inner and my outer must equal my 7x. Okay? And I will be reviewing this again. So this is going to be my procedure for factoring trinomials using the trial and error method. First, I'll make sure that the trinomial is in descending order. Then I will factor out the GCF if there is one. Now, although I may not have to do that in this section, I may need to do it in later sections in this unit. Then I'll list all pairs of factors of A. A is the coefficient of the first term of the polynomial. And then all factors of C, and that's the coefficient of the last term of the polynomial. And then I will construct two binomials of the form something x plus something multiplied by something x plus something. And then I'm going to test each combination of factors and signs until the sum of the products of the outer terms and the inner terms equals the middle term. If no combination of factors produces the correct product, then the trinomial cannot be factored, so it's prime or unfactorable over the integers. And if you don't understand that with me just reading it to you, that's understandable. Let's just go ahead and start applying that to some problems. Now, I will discuss this also. There's a tip and a rule that makes factoring using the trial and error method, sometimes it makes it more efficient. When we choose our pairs of factors, we're going to begin our trial with the pair of factors that are closest together. So for example, if the first term in our polynomial has a coefficient of 8, we know that our factors of 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Since 2 and 4 are closer together than 1 and 8, we're going to start with 2 and 4 because they're closer together. And sometimes this will help us arrive at our factored answer more quickly. And the rule also note that you cannot put numbers with a common factor within the same set of parentheses. Okay, and this will help eliminate trials that cannot possibly be correct. Okay, so no binomial may contain a common factor other than 1 and 1. Now, I discussed this in 3.3 when we were factoring trinomials with, remember in the previous section, those were trinomials with a coefficient, with a leading coefficient of 1. So I'll just reiterate it here. Notice if we're looking at 20x squared plus 43x plus 21, notice that the third term here is positive. So that's going to mean that when you factor it back to your binomials that both of these signs will be the same. Okay, so that's just really a reminder. Notice here my third term is positive, Your signs are the same. Okay? Your second case, these are your two possibilities. If this is negative, that means when you factor your two binomials, your signs need to be different. Okay? All right, so let's look at this. Let's factor this first trinomial using the trial and error method. Okay? So we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 6, and it's already in descending order. So let's just go ahead and draw. Okay, recall this is going to be my F, my L, and my O and my I. I notice that this is positive, so my signs will be the same. Okay, so I'm going to begin with my F. So we know that this times this has to be 2x squared. So my possibilities, my factors of 2, I'll do it over here, I have more room, are either 1, well, it's just 1 and 2. Okay, so I know that 2x times 1x, you don't need that 1. And when you go to put your answers in WebAssign, please don't put that coefficient 1. But I'm just going to put it there for now. Okay, and if you wanted to start with 1x in the first binomial and 2x in, in the second one, it doesn't matter what order to start with. Okay, but 2x times 1x is 2x squared. Okay, so now we'll look at our L. We have factors of 6. My factors of 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Okay, now I'm gonna try my 2 and my 3 first, since they're closer together than 1 and 6. Now, I can't put a 2, I could not put the 2 here, so that can't possibly work because my rule says 2 and 2 have a common factor of 2. So if that's the correct answer, then the 3 would have to be here and the 2 would have to be here. Now, if this doesn't work when I check my outer and my inner, then I'll have to try the 1 and the 6 next and see if it works. But let's go ahead and try this. So I know that 3 times 2 is 6. Now, since I'm trying this on the computer, I'm not going to have to do a bunch of erasing because it will be difficult for me. So I'm going to try to arrive at the correct answer on my first trial. But anyway, 3 times x is 3x. 2x times 2 is 4x. And notice this is great because my signs have to be the same. It needs to add up to positive 7x. My signs have to be the same. They would both be positive in this case. And recall, we just double check using FOIL. 2x times 1x is 2x squared. If I check my L, 3 times positive 2 is 6. So this factors to 2x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 2. Or you could also have x plus 2 multiplied by 2x plus 3. How was that? Let's try some more. Right, factor 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. Notice this is positive. Same signs down below. And I'll just do the same for this. I glanced over here and noticed the same thing. So I'll save myself having to write that twice. My F, my L, my O, and my I. Notice my factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So 2x times 1x gives me my 2x squared. For my L, factors of 1, well, it's just 1 and 1. 1 times 1 is 1. That was easy. Let's check my inner and outer. 1 times 1x is 1x. 2x times 1 is 2x. It needs to add up to 3x, positive 3x, so these would both have to be positive. So we're finished. 2x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 1. Or you could have x plus 1 multiplied by 2x plus 1. For my F, I'm dealing with factors of 6. Multiply 1 times 6 together, or 2 times 3. I'm going to try 2 times 3 first, so that is 2x times 3x My L, factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, or 3 times 4. Okay, I'm going to try 3 times 4, but notice I can't put the 3 with the 3 because 3 has a common factor of 3. Well, that's all right because 4 can't go with 2 either. So if the 3 and the 4 work, the 3 would have to go here and the 4 would have to go here. So let's see how that works out. 3 times 3x is 9x. 2x times 4 is 8x. They have to add up. My outer and my inner have to add up to negative 17x. My signs have to be the same. And as long as those are both negative, that will add up to negative 17x. So that works out nicely. Just double checking my first and my last. 2x times 3x was 6x squared. Negative 3 times negative 4 was positive 12. So I get 2x minus 3 multiplied by 3x minus 4. Now once again, I got that right on the first trial. If that would not have worked, I would have had to try perhaps the 2 and the 3 with the 2 and the 6, or the 2 and the 3 with the 1 and the 12. If that didn't work, I may have to decide to use the 1 and the 6 with the 3 and the 4. Okay? That's why it's called trial and error. All right, 15a squared plus 26a minus 21. Notice it's in descending order, and I should be pointing out there is no greatest common factor to factor out of here. There's no common factor that will go into 15, 26, and 21, except for 1, and you can't factor out an a because there's no a with the 21. Okay, so now we know that we can just factor the trinomial. So my factors of 15, doing my f. Oh, also note that this is negative. So in this one, I will have different signs down below. So my factors of 15, I have 1 and 15 to choose from, or 3 and 5. 3 and 5 are closer together, so I'm going to start with that. So 5a times 3a is 15a squared. Okay? And then for my L, factors of 21, 1 multiplied by 21, or 3 multiplied by 7. I will try 3 and 7. I can't put 3 in here because 3 and 3 have a common factor of 3. My rule tells me I can't do that. So I'm going to try my 7 here and 3 here and see if that works. Recall your signs have to be different down below. 3 times 3a is 9a. 5a times 7 is 35a. Now, what does this have to add up to? Well, your outer and your inner have to add up to positive 26a. Well, as long as your signs are different, because recall when your signs are different, you subtract, they will. If your 35 is positive, minus 9, that will work out nicely. So let's figure out how we need to place the signs up above. Positive 5a times positive 7 will give you a positive 35. Negative 3 times positive 3a gives you a negative 9a. And then just let me check my last. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 31. So this factors to 5a minus 3 multiplied by 3a plus 7. Or 3a plus 7 times 5a minus 3. All right, D. And actually, I think on D, we already did D. I apologize. It was the same as B. And you can blame me for that since I'm the one that put this book together. Oops. First mistake I've made writing the book. Kidding. All right, let's try the next one, E. All right, 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Different signs. I look at that negative right away. There's my F. Factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So 2x times 1x. My L, factors of 3, 1 times 3. So think about where those would have to go. I believe my 1 will have to go here and my 3 will have to go here. Let's check it. So 1 times 1x is 1x. 2x times 3 is 6x. It needs to add up. My OI, notice, is a negative 5x. In order for this to add up to negative 5x, the 6 would have to be negative and the 1 would have to be positive. So 2x, checking your outer, 2x times negative 3 would be negative 6x, and my inner, positive 1 times 1x is positive 1x. So 2x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 3. Make sure you take that coefficient 1 off of there. WebAssign will not like that. Or you can have x minus 3 times 2x plus 1. All right. 6b squared minus 19b plus 15. My signs will be the same down below. Draw your two sets of parentheses. Look at my f. Factors of 6 are 1 and 6, or 2 and 3. Start with my 2 and my 3. So I'm going to just say 3b times 2b gives me 6b squared. Then I'll look at my L. Factors of 15, 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Let's see if 3 and 5 will work. I can't put my 3 with my 3, so I'll see if the 5 will work here and the 3 here. Check your inner and outer. Notice it needs to add up to negative 19b. My inner, 5 times 2b is 10b. My outer, 3b times 3 is 9b. They both have to be the same. As long as they're both negative, they will add up to negative 19b. That's not so bad. So we get 3b minus 5 multiplied by 2b minus 3. Or you may have 2b minus 3 multiplied by 3b minus 5. Oh, not so bad. These are my last ones. All right. Same signs. F. Factors of 8. 1 and 8, or 2 and 4. I'll start with 2 and 4 and see if it works. So 4z multiplied by 2z. I look at my L. Factors of 1. Alright, so 1 times 2z is 2z, and 4z times 1 is 4z. Well, notice, guys, it needs to add up to negative 36z. It's not going to happen. It would add up to either 6z or negative 6z. Okay? Well, what I can do now is, let me just rewrite it down here so I don't erase that so you can see it. My other possibility is I'll try the 8 and the 1. So I could put 8z and 1z for my f. My L would still have to be 1 and 1. If I check my inner and outer, 1 times 1z is 1z. 8z times 1 is 8z. I still need negative 36z. 1 and 8 add up to 9z. Okay, and my signs have to be the same. It's still not going to work. So G, we say, is prime, or unfactorable, because no matter which factors we choose in place in the first locations, whatever factors we choose in the locations of L, we cannot situate them such that our inners and our outers add up to negative 36z. So we cannot factor that trinomial the way we using this trial and error method. Let's try this last one. My signs are going to be different. My f, I'm looking at factors of 18. My choices are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, or 3 and 6. I'll start with 3 and 6. Six t times 3t. Factors of 5. 1 and 5. And I'm going to put the 5 with the 6 and the 1 here. 5 times 3t is 15t. I'm checking my inner. My outer, 6t times 1 is 6t. It needs to add up to negative 9t, and recall your signs need to be different. In order for this to add up to negative 9, my 15 would have to be negative, my 6 would have to be positive. So my outer has to be positive. So 6t times positive 1 has to be positive. My inner, negative 5 times 3t has to be negative. So 6t minus 5 multiplied by 3t plus 1. Let me just go ahead and do... I'll do 2 of the U-tries and then I'll stop. Same signs. My f, factors of 2, 1 and 2. So I get 2x times 1x. My L, factors of 21. My choices are 1 and 21 or 3 and 7. I'm going to choose 3 and 7. I'll put my 3 here and my 7 here. 3 times x is 3x. 2x times 7 is 14x. It needs to add up to negative 17x. My signs need to be the same. As long as they're both negative, it will add up to negative 17x. So 2x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 7, or x minus 7 times 2x minus 3. I'll make this one my last one. Here my signs are going to be different. Factors of 4, I'm choosing either 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Now for this one I'm going to start, I believe when I first tried this one, I tried 2 and 2 and it doesn't work. Okay, and I know you probably want me to go through all the process, but if I do that, I'm going to end up having to erase everything, which you probably, maybe I should go through that process. So notice if I try 2 and 2, you just put 2x times 2x in there. Okay, well now I'll list my factors of 20. 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. Well, notice I cannot use 4 and 5 because I cannot put 4 in either of those because they will have a common factor of 2. And then notice I can't put 2 and 10 in either of those because they'll still, if I put, they would have a common factor. If I put 2 and 1, they'd have a common factor of 2, but the other 10 and 2 would also have a common factor of 2. And if I use 1 and 20, 2 and 20 would have a common factor of 2. So that lets you know that you cannot use that this one here is not going to work. So let me get my eraser. This will not work. That worked all right. So that's my clue that's how your tip can help you out. So that's your clue that 1x and 4x are going to be the appropriate ones to use. So now let me go back and I'll try to use the 4 and the 5 with that. Well, the 4 would not be able to go with the 4, so I'd have to try the 5 here and the 4 here. So let's try that. 5 times x is 5x. 4x times 4 is 16x. It needs to add up to positive 11x. My signs have to be different, and it will as long as my 5 is negative. So my inner has to be negative. That would be my negative 5 times my 1x is negative 5x. 4x times positive 4 is 16x. So that kind of gives you a better idea, finally, of why we call it the trial and error method. So we get 4x minus 5 times x plus 4, or you could have x plus 4 times 4x minus 5. All right, and that concludes this lesson.